Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a hilarious and honestly, highly relatable slice of life story that, believe it or not, serves as an absolute masterclass in modern parenting. If you've ever driven a car with a teenager in the passenger seat, you know firsthand that the vehicle isn't just a mode of transportation. It's a battleground for musical tastes, a sanctuary for real conversation, and a direct reflection of your relationship with your kids. We're going to look at one mother's incredibly transparent approach to playing uncensored music in the car and what her playlist reveals about authenticity, setting boundaries, and bridging that massive generational divide.
All right, let's jump straight into Section 1, the Rapping Mom Meme.
You know, it feels like every great parenting realization usually starts with a teenager pointing out something slightly embarrassing about us, right? Well, this whole thing kicked off with a simple text message. A 15-year-old daughter sends her mom a meme of a mother just aggressively rapping in the driver's seat with the caption, "Mom, this is you." It's that classic universal experience where our kids hold a mirror right up to our quirks, but for this mom, getting that meme actually sparked a sudden moment of self-awareness. She realized that the second her kids hop in her car, her environment, and specifically her music, doesn't change one bit.
And honestly, that brings us to the core question of our explainer today. Think about your own habits for a second here. Do you switch up your playlist when the kids get in the car? When the teens hop in the passenger seat, are you instantly reaching for the dial to sanitize your music? Do you just automatically pivot to top 40 pop, or do you keep it totally real and let your own, maybe a little explicit, soundtrack keep playing? It's actually a pretty defining parenting choice.
Which leads us to Section 2, ditching the clean version.
So, how exactly does a funny meme turn into a legitimate parenting philosophy about trust? Well, this mom's approach isn't exactly what you'd call the societal norm. When her friends hear her uncensored driving soundtrack, they push back. They give her that classic advice, telling her she should at least play the clean version or, find the radio edits. Because let's face it, there's a ton of peer pressure among parents to maintain this perfectly curated, sanitized bubble for teenagers, basically acting as a shield against the adult world. But she totally ignores that pressure. Instead, she justifies ditching the clean versions with some seriously grounded reality checks. First off, she points out her kids are 15. They're old enough to handle it. Second, she uses some serious empathy, literally remembering the exact kind of unedited music she was blasting at 15. But that third point, that's where it gets incredibly real. She says, "Girl, they be cussing people out at school." I mean, she completely refuses to be naive about the language and themes her teens hear every single day. And look at that last reason. She is ready and willing to answer any questions they have. By keeping the music totally uncensored, she leaves the door for honest dialogue wide open.
So her whole philosophy boils down to this fantastic quote. It's real life. I'm not going to pretend like I don't listen to this. She's actively choosing authenticity over censorship. She just refuses to put on a fake persona the second her kids buckle up behind her. And by just being herself, she's sending a really powerful signal to her teenagers, you don't have to be fake around me either.
But of course, there are limits, which brings us to Section 3, drawing the line.
Let's be totally clear here, complete transparency does not mean a total free-for-all. Even with this boldly uncensored policy, she establishes what she calls the Trina limit. Now, if you don't know, Trina is a rapper famous for some heavily explicit early 2000s tracks. And for this mom, that is the ultimate uncrossable boundary. Tracks like that are strictly pulled from rotation during designated family time. It just goes to show that you can be an authentic, real parent while still drawing firm lines in the sand to maintain your role as the adult in the room.
So aside from that one very specific hardline boundary, her process is actually super analytical. She actively listens to the tracks as they come on, thinks about the lyrical content, and mostly comes to the conclusion, no, they cool. It's not passive parenting at all. It's mindful curation. She's constantly weighing her kids' maturity against the content of her classic hip-hop beats.
And that mindful curation leads to Section 4, the epic carpool playlist.
So, what actually happens when you mix authenticity, sensible boundaries, and classic hip-hop? Well, the result's pretty incredible. Her teenagers' friends literally request to ride with this mom specifically because of what they've dubbed the epic playlist. Let's dive into the results of this whole parenting compromise, an environment that successfully bridges a massive generational divide and somehow makes her minivan the hottest ticket in town for the high school crowd.
This dynamic beautifully illustrates the musical compromise at play here. On one hand, you've got mom bringing the gritty 99 and early 2000s hip-hop vibes, practically giving them a history lesson on the classics. But she holds equal space for their world. The teenagers are constantly requesting modern top 10 hits and Billie Eilish. And because she doesn't talk down to them or hide her own identity, they feel respected. You get this amazing, genuine musical exchange happening right there in the car seats.
Okay, so if you're looking to replicate this magical success with your own family, we've basically extracted the exact step-by-step recipe from her story. Think of this as your guide to building the ultimate cross-generational carpool ride. Step 1. Start with the uncensored 99 and 2000s hits. You got to set the foundation with your own authentic taste. Step 2. Mix in a dash of Billie Eilish or whatever your kids are into to validate their tastes. Step 3. Check the current top 10 charts so you can stay relevant to their cultural conversations. And finally, Step 4. This is the dramatic finish. Roll down those windows at school pickup so absolutely everyone can feel the vibe.
Which leads us perfectly to this fantastic wrap-up of her story. She rolls up to the school drop-off, yells out, "Bye!" All right, y'all ready for some gangster? To her kids and their friends? And then, the exact millisecond those car doors close and she's flying solo again, she instantly cranks the hardcore rap back up for her ride home. It's just a hilarious, perfect testament to keeping your own identity alive while navigating all the daily demands of motherhood.
You know, it's a really funny story, but it honestly makes you stop and think about how much of our true selves we hide from our teenagers just to fit some traditional mold. So, as we wrap up this explainer on modern parenting, authenticity, and setting boundaries, I want you to ask yourself, how are you navigating that generational gap in your own car? Are you playing the clean version? Are you rolling down the windows and keeping it real?